الحمد لله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض وجعل الظلمات والنور ثم الذين كفروا بربهم يعدلون. الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله لقد جاءت رسل ربنا بالحق. نعم. Alhamdulillah, we're trying to get back into the groove of our classes and get acclimated to this new schedule. And many different reasons for the schedule change. From the reasons of the schedule changes, the change in the times for the salah. So of course that's going to affect the schedule. We have students who went back to school, people who work schedule. We're coming in at 6 or 5:45 and like that, so people had time to get to work. Now with the work schedule, people really don't have time. Time was slim. So that was one of the reasons, and like that. Also, from the reason was the weakness in participation, whether it be on site or online. Very weak level of participation. And that's what I just want to remind the Muslims. Only Muslims are going to practice Islam. There's no substitute for faith. No one can check in for you. So if the Muslims don't practice Islam, and the only way to practice Islam is to learn Islam. Because how can a person live something? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Nicole. How can a person practice something? And when I'm using the word practice, this weak language, English language. When we say practice Islam, it means to live Islam. Doesn't mean like baseball practice, football practice, or something like that. So the only people that are going to be Muslim are Muslims. So that means the only people that are going to learn about Islam with the intention of establishing Islam are Muslims. That's it. No one else. So if we don't do it, Islam still is not going to disappear. It's not like any other thing. If like right now here in this area, the GM workers are going on strike. So if they don't go to work, then that company is going to go out of business if people don't go into work. Even if they attempt to get other people to work in their place. As far as Islam has been attacked from inside and out since the messengers and prophets were sent. Since the Quran was revealed and before the Quran was revealed, every messenger and prophet came, what was Muslim, came with Islam. And Islam has been attacked from inside and out since Allah sent the prophets and messengers, and it's still here. Allah Ta'ala said, وَإِن تَتَوَلَّوْا in the end of Surah Muhammad, in sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وَإِن تَتَوَلَّوْا يَسْتَبْدِلْ قَوْمًا غَيْرَكُمْ. If you turn your backs, he will replace you with a people other than you. So when we don't step up to the plate of implementing and living our deen, we stand the chance of being replaced. And I mentioned before, some of you know me, that the man who was one of the main people calling me to Islam and giving me dawah, I saw him 4 years later, he wasn't even Muslim. Allah knows best, maybe I took his place. He was giving me dawah, explaining he had been Muslim for 10 years. Then I saw him, he joined the new Black Panther Party. It's not Muslim anymore. At that time, it was. I don't know what happened since then. And all I asked him was, as you heard me say before, what are you going to worship after having worshiped Allah? So everybody's going to worship something. What are you going to worship after worship? So the weakness in participation. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Umar.
No.
So the weakness in participation was another reason the schedule needed to be changed. When you think about a person's interest, when a person has interest in the thing, time is of no, I'm not going to say value, of no effect. Time isn't an issue. And based on the value the person has for a thing, will dictate how much time they spend indulging in that thing. So when someone becomes bored or, how can I say, overwhelmed with engaging the thing for long periods of time, that boredom, that lack of engagement is dictated by the lack of interest in that thing. We see this go on year in and year out in so many issues, whether it be the khutbah, whether it be qiyam al-layl. People say, oh, too long, too long, too long. But if we look at any sports event, how many hours do people sit? If we look at the video games that people play, if we look at scrolling through social media, how much time people spend doing that. But when it comes to issues of faith and deen, people want it done quickly. Why? Because we have taken Islam as a hobby. It's a hobby. And our dunya is our main concern. And this is very dangerous. So there's no wonder why the ummah has become weak as it is today. Weak in our men. In most masajid, many, I'm not going to say most. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Aklima. Yes. So, we're weak in our men. We're weak. And that's our foundation. Our men are the foundation. And people are mistaken. We follow the kuffar and their ideologies and so many things. But we're weak in our men. And the men, they're the foundation. The men are the foundation. People have followed after the kuffar, believing that the children are the future. The children cannot be the future unless the adults are the present. You cannot build a future without a present. You cannot build a future without a present. If your right now is absent, how can your future be established? And all you have to do is anybody, as far as business, in business, how can a person leave, because all of the buzz right now in the world concerning finances is called generational wealth. Everybody that talks about generational wealth, what are they saying? They have to establish something now for those who come after them. That's what they say generational wealth is. So now the best generational wealth is deen. Is deen. If we don't establish the deen now, forget about our kids. We don't know who's going to live the longest. How many parents have buried their children? So then, now who's going to be responsible? Let's say the son dies at 30 and the father lives to be 80. So then, okay, how can the children be the future? No, this is a cop-out. It's a cop-out. unless the people who are saying the children of the future are establishing what needs to be established in the present, the Prophet ﷺ didn't say, oh, the children of the future and stop implementing the Sahaba didn't do that. They stopped establishing deen. One of the greatest signs that a person is established, or the people have established deen, and that Allah Ta'ala has given them a true presence, is the ayah of Surah Al-Hajj. Allah Ta'ala said, الَّذِينَ إِن مَّكَّنَّاهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ أَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ. Those who, if we give them establishment in the earth, they establish the prayer. A Jewish man said, you don't have to worry about the Muslims until their Fajr prayer is like their Jumu'ah prayer. And only masajid that actually have a packed Jumu'ah prayer will be affected by this statement. But even some masajid, the Jumu'ah prayer is weak. The Jumu'ah prayer is even weak. Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Tariq. So, what are we going to do? Nobody is going to practice Islam in our place. And if we don't practice it, we could be wiped out. It happened before. I don't know if the Muslims know about the history of Islam and the Mongols, when they came into the lands of the Muslim, Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan, when he invaded the Muslim lands, he said, I'm the punishment of your Lord upon you. The Muslims had Iraq and Egypt and the Arabian Peninsula, and all of these lands were Muslim, and they had armies. What were our armies doing during that time? Because of the weakness and engrossment in dunya and engrossment in sin, what happened? Our Muslim soldiers during that time would stand in line with their weapons and hand their weapons to the soldiers of Genghis Khan and be slaughtered with their own weapons out of their fear of those soldiers. Out of their fear. Islam entered into Egypt during the time that Umar was the Khalifa. Egypt was a Coptic Christian country at the time. Islam entered. When Genghis Khan entered into Egypt and was slaughtering the Muslims, he wasn't slaughtering the Christians, he was slaughtering the Muslims. The Christians began pouring out alcohol in the streets, saying Islam is dead, Islam is dead. They were celebrating. They thought it was over. So those people who were in authority, the rulers, the soldiers, and all of that, were slaughtered. And then Bibers and Qutus, who were slaves in Egypt, they formed an army and overthrew the army of Genghis Khan. SubhanAllah. The people who were thought to be worthless. So Islam is going to remain. After that onslaught, they said that the Furat River that's near Iraq, between Iraq and Iran, that was all Persia at one point on another map before English colonialism. But the libraries were so big, and the writings of the scholars, that Genghis Khan, just like they do today, Genghis Khan, what did he do? He wanted to destroy the library, to destroy the deen of Islam. So they began throwing the books of the Muslims into the Furat River. Throwing into the Furat River. I think that's the name of it in English and Arabic. I don't know. But to the point they said that the water became blackened from the ink coming off the pages because they were writing with ink. Just like that. From the inks of the pages, wanted to destroy Islam. But here we go to right now, practicing Islam. So when we become weak, we are under the danger of Allah replacing it. What people won't be like us. Allah Ta'ala said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu in Surah Al-Ma'idah, man yartadid minkum an dinihi fasawfa ya'ti Allahu biqawmin yuhibbuhum wa yuhibbunah. Oh, you believe, if you turn back, if you apostate from your deen, then soon will Allah bring about a people that He loves them and they love Him. Azillatin ala al-mu'mineen. They will be humble and gentle with one another. A'izzatin ala al-kafirin. And they will be strong and mighty against the disbelievers. Yujahiduna fi sabilillah. And they will fight in the way of Allah. وَلَا يَخَافُونَ لَوْمَةَ لَائِمٍ. And they won't fear the blame of the blamers. They won't fear the blame of the blamers. So the schedule was changed based on work hours, and have to look that people have to go to work and things like that. Also due to the weakness of participation. All due to the weakness of participation, because if another way to make something lose its value is to unlock the door of access to it. So people value things that they don't have access to. When they get too much access to it, then they feel like, oh yeah, I can, and this is why originally I never wanted to have any online appearance or record classes. Why? Because the shaitan comes to people that need to learn and say, oh, I can catch the recording. I'll just listen to it later like that. And 99% of the time, they never get to listen to it. Oh yeah, I missed so many classes now. Oh, I didn't get a chance, and before you know it's 2 classes, 3, 10, 15, 20, and that's it. So this is just some points I wanted to bring of why. Also, beneficial knowledge is from the favors of Allah. Whether the person is on the giving and the receiving end, beneficial knowledge is from the favors of Allah. So one of the way to lose the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what? To neglect it. To neglect it. Just think about it. Health, wealth, family. When those things are neglected, they go. What would happen if a person didn't give any attention or concern to his wife? She probably leaves him. Same thing. If a woman didn't give the proper attention to her husband, probably going to end up divorcing. The parents, if they're not giving attention and paying attention to their children, what's going to happen? And they're running rapid, they feel neglected and things like that. Same thing about deen. Same thing about deen. So when we neglect it, Allah will remove it from us. So we're in trouble, Muslims. We're in trouble. And I can't, as your brother in Islam, I cannot sell you dreams, and I cannot act like everything is okay. Our ummah is in trouble. This deen was established by men. Read the history of Islam. Read the history of every prophet. Religion was established by women and children. That's the call of the kuffar. That's feminism. That's liberalism. That's not Islam. The women and children first. No, the men first. Because someone attacks, and you have the women and children. They're the ones that are learned. Because this is the issue that many Muslims are doing now. They send their women and children to learn while they're ignorant chasing the dunya. What is this? This wasn't the way of the Sahaba. This wasn't the way of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah never sent a woman as a prophet. Is that not a sign? There's not one woman prophet or messenger. It shows that this is supposed to be established by men. And then taught to the women and taught to the children. But who's going to protect them? So we're comfortable and we keep giving ourselves guarantees we don't have. We guarantee ourselves tomorrow. We guarantee ourselves iman. Both of them can be taken away, life and faith. No. So we are still in Surah At-Takwir. We're still in Surah At-Takwir. Where are we? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I believe we just finished the 2. وَإِذَا السَّمَاءُ كُشِطَتْ, when the sky is ripped from its place. وَإِذَا الْجَحِيمُ سُعِّرَتْ, and when the hellfire is set to a blaze. وَإِذَا الْجَنَّةُ أُزْلِفَتْ, and when the Jannah is brought near. We talked about that because we talked about Muzdalifah. عَلِمَتْ نَفْسٌ مَا أَحْضَرَتْ, every soul will know what it brought. Every soul will know what it brought forward. But this acknowledgement is going to be too late. It's going to be too late. If this is taking place, all of those ayat that we ran, and the sky being ripped apart, and the hellfire being set to ablaze, and the Jannah being brought near, if this acknowledgement is now taking place at that time, it's too late. The ulama say, وَإِذَا السَّمَاءُ نُزِعَتْ كَمَا يُنْزَعُ الْجِلْدِ and the shah. And when the sky is ripped from its place, like the skin is torn from a sheep after its slaughtering. وَإِذَا النَّارُ أُوقِدَتْ and when the fire is set to ablaze, وَإِذَا الْجَنَّةُ قُرِّبَتْ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ and when the Jannah is brought closer for the people of taqwa. عندما يحصل ذلك تعلم كل نفس ما قدمت من الأعمال لذلك اليوم. When that takes place, every soul will know what it has put forward from actions for that day. يقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من أصبح. And we have to really think about these statements. The hadith of Ibn Mas'ud, the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever woke up, وكانت الدنيا أكبر همه شتت الله شمله وجعل الفقر بين عينيه. He said, whoever woke up and the most important thing, his main concern was the dunya, Allah Ta'ala will make his affairs all over the place. His affairs will be in awry. Nothing seems to go in order. And he will place poverty between his eyes. The ulama explained this is part of the hadith that Allah will put poverty between his eyes, and all he will see is poverty. No matter how much money he gets, he'll never be satisfied. Will cause him never to be satisfied. His greed for money will be like rabies. You know what happens with rabies in the last stages of rabies? That the person becomes extremely thirsty but can't drink. And he sees the water's right in front of him. And as he goes to drink, he panics every time he gets closer to the water. So he wants it, but then he's afraid of it. Then he wants it, then he's afraid of it. This is how the person has rabies for money. He wants it, but at the time, it's not enough. Okay, I got to get some more. No, it's not enough. And the whole time, what the preparation for this day is being neglected. Preparation for this day is being neglected. علمت نفس ما أحضرت. Every soul will know what it has brought. So, this is the ayat that we wanted to discuss today. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us من الذين يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسن. And this is very important. And it's gonna go to the intention of the person when they listen or go to a class. Allah Ta'ala said, those who listen to the word and they follow the best meaning therein. When you listen, follow what the best thing that can come out of it. So, and the Muslims have to be careful. When a Muslim listens to Quran in Sunnah, right? And only come out with something wrong. I mean, you have some people that their souls are so adverse to the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Their souls are so, how can I say, opposed. The dhikr of Allah is so heavy, no matter how much benefit they say, oh, it was too long. Oh, why did he focus on that? Oh, what? Subhanallah. Out of all of those ayat, you couldn't find any benefit. All you could find was criticism. La ilaha illallah. This is the Quran that Allah Ta'ala said, لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله. Allah, this is the Quran Allah said if he sent it down upon a mountain, the mountain would crumble. But as Allah said about Bani Israel, ثم قست قلوبكم من بعد ذلك فهي كالحجارة أو أشد قسوة. Allah said, then your hearts became hard. So they became like rocks or even harder. So we have Allah describing the Quran as if it was sent down on the mountain would crumble, but then it doesn't penetrate our hearts. So where are we? So we ask Allah to make us from those who hear the word and follow the best meaning therein, and from those who establish the deen. And we ask Allah Ta'ala to use us in His service and not replace us. Ameen. Any statements or questions about anything that was said? I'll take them now. If not, we'll stop here. سبحانك اللهم آمين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت وأستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.